We are belaboring these questions of authorization, and I suspect you know why. Many of us have had misgivings about how the executive has expanded the ability to act unilaterally without congressional authorization, both in this administration and in prior administrations. There are differences, though. President Obama didn't think he had the authority to launch missile strikes against Syria without congressional authorization. This administration believes it does. But the concern spans both. So I'll ask one last question on this subject. The rationale for U.S. military troops in Syria has been to fight ISIS, and I think many of us support that, even if we don't believe the authorization exists. We believe in the mission. The administration has started to signal publicly that there is a follow-on mission for our existing presence, which is to combat the influence of Iran in the future settlement of accounts inside Syria. Do you believe that U.S. troop presence is necessary inside Syria to try to stem Iran's influence? And if so, what is the legal basis for that activity?
Senator, I will concur with you. While it's complicated, the legal basis gets much more difficult. The clarity that I think we have today, it sounds like you may disagree about the clarity today. I think we're coloring inside the line there. It becomes much more difficult.
And do you believe that a troop presence is needed there to try to combat Iranian influence?
Senator, it depends on precisely how that mission is constructed. No, I think there are other places, lots of other tools in the American foreign policy toolkit that will allow us to achieve that. It may be the case that the president concludes that we've got to do it that way, in order to achieve his goal there, and I'm confident that the administration will comply with the law if it chooses to do that. I think it's hard to. We've talked about the JCPOA singularly. We've talked about now this element of countering Iran singularly. We talked about sanctions on Iran singularly. The truth of the matter is that the strategy that's been laid out by the administration comprises multiple parts, and to the extent one piece or another is succeeding or delivering the outcomes we're looking for, right? Today the rial is, I guess this is yesterday, 58,000 to the dollar. That's a very weak Iranian economy. The Iranian people are about done with trying to figure out how it is that they're going to benefit from the place they find themselves today. They are frustrated with the economic failures of the administration in Iran. There are lots of tools in the toolkit, Senator Murphy, and I can't answer without considering each of them precisely how I think about the continued presence there. While I'll concede the legality is more complex.
I think it's charitable to call what we're doing in Syria today a strategy. I think as we watch a president move troops in, then propose to pull them out, it's hard for us and our allies to figure out exactly what the strategy is there. Finally, I just wanted to ask you a question that we talked about privately, and that's how you perceive the utility of the toolkit that is given to a Secretary of State. And I'm of the belief that our foreign policy toolkit is badly misresourced today. I'm a big believer in peace through strength, but I'm not sure it makes sense to spend 20 times as much money on the military as it does on diplomacy, especially when countries like Russia are standing up all sorts of non-kinetic capacities in order to win friends and influence adversaries. And one of the frustrations we had with Secretary Tillerson was that he was fond of telling this committee that if we gave him one more dollar, he would have no idea how to spend it. This was one of his favorite phrases when he met with us. And it just seemed to belie the reality of the world, in which there are lots of threats that you can't meet with all of the great military equipment we make in Connecticut. You've got to actually stand up capacities that the State Department and USAID has alone. So I just wanted to get your thoughts on that theory of the international case.
Senator, if I can broaden out just a little bit, I will answer that one. I'll take the extra dollar. I'm convinced that I can figure out ways to add value, to create American national security value with resources. And by the way, when I don't need the dollar, I'll send it back too. That is, if I conclude that a program doesn't work, I'll let you know. I think this doesn't work, and we'll work our way through that. We've come through 15 years as a nation where the CT fight has been at the front of much of the way we've thought about the world. And now these challenges, I think, do move on. I think I think we are out of balance with respect to how we're thinking about using these tools and these levers of power. I think your sense of that is correct.
Great. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.